Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is IOLANDE Melody. Today I want to give a message of hope, a message of clarity, and a message of support for those people who know what's going on. I'm talking about the insane level of deception that's going on right now, and as you guys know, I can't get descriptive about this because I'm not allowed to. You know that things have got really bad when you're not even allowed to question the narrative that we're being told. People are being silenced left, right and centre, and I want my channel to keep going so that I can actually give you guys a bit of spiritual support through this whole thing. So this is for the people that try to awaken others only to be met with aggression, hostility, and plain ignorance. I know exactly how it feels. I have to deal with it every single day. If you guys follow my social media, you know this. And while there's a lot of people out there who are very brave, who are going into detail, warning people of what's to come, what I want to do in this video is to do something a little bit different, because I see a lot of truthers that use very similar terminology, as in they are going to do this. This is what they're doing, as if they're even going to achieve it. Right? I'm talking about the people who are at the very, very top that are leading this whole thing. Sometimes you need to shock people a bit and give them some hard truths so that they can actually awaken and open their eyes to what's going on. But the only issue that I have with that is that it doesn't really do much good for the people that already know. Those who have done the research know that 2020 was no accident. There was a lot of planning involved in this, and there is evidence out there that proves this. And what no one seems to be mentioning is, if it was a good plan, no one would know about it. No one would even notice it. If it was that much of a brilliant plan, the world would just keep on ticking, they wouldn't rock the boat as much, and people would just be eased into this new society that they are attempting to build. But here lies the problem. Not just one problem, but many problems. 2020 was a catalyst for many things. One thing in particular, though, was that it was a catalyst for awakening. So many people that were in a slumber because they were just involved in their own life. They didn't really care what was going on in the world. They had all their creature comforts. They had their job to focus on. So they were too busy, really, to look into spirituality because they were working so many hours. When the lockdown hit, everyone had a hell of a lot of time to think and to be alone. And when you're alone for long lengths of time, it tends to be the catalyst for an awakening. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't think that was part of the plan. If you want to rule over the world and have a huge level of control over everyone and everything, the last thing that you want is people to have a spiritual awakening. So that's the first flaw. And it's a very big flaw. Now, some people believe that the people at the top knew that collectively we would be going through an awakening at some point, because the people at the top are spiritual, but they're not spiritual in a good way. But believe me, when you do your research, the level of symbolism in everything, all these big companies, the buildings that they have around the world are structured very, very carefully. And if you look deep enough, you will find there is occult symbolism everywhere. And it's not just put there because it looks pretty. It's put there for a reason. Also, if you follow astrology, there are a lot of big events that are occurring right now. You think the people at the top don't analyse every single tool that they have available to them? Then you'd be mistaken. The thing is, this whole thing feels very, very rushed, and it just seems like every day there is more and more insanity. Hypocrisy that is so visible. It's got to such a level now that it actually feels like a joke. It's almost like they are actually telling you what they are doing. It's hidden in plain sight, as people would say. Here's one thing that I feel a lot of people need to hear. You might be going into your local supermarket feeling incredibly disheartened at the dystopia and the sheer blind compliance. It might seem like you are the odd one out and that everybody else is just in a deep slumber. But what you have to realise is that there are millions of people that are awakened to this, and every single day their voices are being silenced, and yet they still manage to slip through the cracks. That to me is saying something. And another thing to think about is the people who are awake probably feel exactly the same way as you. They probably don't want to go to the supermarket because it's such a stressful experience now. So a lot of them have probably stocked up. A lot of them probably avoid leaving the house altogether because it pisses them off so much. Not because they're scared of some imaginary boogeyman or they're gonna get the sniffles. They're scared of the level of frustration that they feel. Another reason why you might not be seeing these awakened people is because they're not in the supermarkets, they're out on the streets, fighting for your rights, fighting for our rights. But the most empowering thing in all of this is that if you've got to the level where you realise the deception that's going on, I would assume that you've also made yourself very aware of the spiritual warfare that's going on. And that is more important to talk about because that is the core of everything. That is the real battle. And the thing is, when you imagine the people at the top, they need to harvest energy. They don't have their own energy resources because everything that they are doing is an inversion of what is good in spirituality. Those of us who live a moral life and class ourselves as spiritual, we know that the power comes from within. But when you invert that, the power doesn't come from within. The power comes from sucking the life force out of other people, and they get desperate. There is a desperation to harvest this energy, and the problem is that many people are awakening now, that the more people awaken, the more they're gonna panic, the more ridiculous this thing becomes. And if they can't harvest your energy, guess what happens? They lose all of their power. And the irony is the power was never theirs. The power is an illusion. Any good plan should be executed in a calm manner with logic. It should be smooth sailing, but we haven't seen any of that. All we have seen is chaos, and that is their ideology. Order out of chaos. I don't know where they get this idea that that is actually a thing, because it's not. You cannot get order out of chaos. And I'm gonna finish this video off with just pointing out the obvious. Evil will never ever win. It can't, because the good will always prevail. Good is a more powerful force, but we are just told every day that it's weak and that it's pathetic and it's fragile, but that is just another lie. So my advice is, don't just sit back and think that everything will just be fine. You know, part of the problem is the people who are living in denial about this thing. But take back your power, realise your strength, honour your integrity. I say this nearly every video because it is the most important thing. If you honour your integrity, God will always have your back. This has always been the case in my life, so I don't just believe it, I know it. Use the comment section as a way to connect with like-minded souls. I would recommend not to use any trigger words. You guys know the drill by now. But yeah, please make sure to drop this video a like if it helped you, subscribe and hit the notification bell. And I'll see you next time. Love you, bye!